Well, good evening, Renew US, and I am so excited to introduce you to a brother in Christ and a friend of mine who we had kind of drifted in different directions. Our lives have intersected over the past, and we just kind of reconnected today. And I want to introduce to you Lee Howell, and Lee, I want to introduce you to the finest team on Twitter. And while the numbers may be small, there are times that we have 20 or 30 here. But Lee is, to give you some background on Lee, I first met him when he was in charge of Baptist, I guess was it called BCM back then or something? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Baptist Campus Ministries at the Florida State University. And we got involved in some disaster relief work. We got involved in some men's ministry work. And then, and in the course of some of my ministry, and I don't know if I've even shared this story with you, but you may want to ask Mike about it, and he may share it with you. But there's a church on St. George Island that's about an hour and a half from Tallahassee. It was really a very undiscovered place, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And this church that's been there forever had a lot of property that they couldn't do anything with, and between the pastor and myself, the vision came about from the Lord that maybe a Christian retreat center would be a good idea. But the funds weren't available, and that church was actually in a different association. That's a little cluster of Baptist churches. But they have joined our association in Tallahassee. And so if you're going to have a Christian retreat, you're going to have somebody to kind of be the steward of it. So Lee's that steward. So, Lee, what all does that involve?
Well, the catch-all would be all other duties as assigned. So
fix the toilets.
That changes day to day. Yeah. The parts of this job they didn't tell me about when I interviewed was changing out parts in a septic tank. Yeah. So
that's above ground, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. At least you didn't have to dig down to it. Yeah.
Communicating, promoting, connecting with churches. Really all over the Southeast for that matter, and getting them here because you got to have people come to keep it running.
You mean you build it and they don't just show up?
Yeah, exactly. So but obviously communicating with them prior to their arrival, coordinating the details as they come, meeting them and greeting them when they're here, and just providing access to the property, and once they're here, being available, anything that they need, taking care of that. But anyway, it's been great. We used to bring groups down here when I was at FSU, and got to know the pastor then. And matter of fact, got to know him when you remember when in 2005 when the storm surge hit. We actually came down there a week away from opening, and I had not even heard about him at that point. And we were invited to come help out, brought a handful of students from FSU. We helped clean up. And so when we interviewed, I knew everybody on the committee already.
Right.
Had come down here and preached several times. So we've enjoyed it. It's a beautiful place and can't beat the view. Our house overlooks the bay. Great fishing hole right out front, so can't complain.
Great. Well, Lee, what did you do today?
Well, for starters, ended up talking to you a bunch. And,
you did?
Yeah.
You won't ever like one of my tweets again. It'll cost you.
Yeah, I think it ended up, about an hour and a half conversation. So, yeah, but that was good. Enjoyed it.
Looking over, now, I don't know how many years you've been there, quite a few, I presume, since, 2005?
Yeah, almost 6 years now, yeah.
Okay. Looking over your shoulder, what's the highest moment that just comes to your mind in the ministry there?
Oh, wow. Well, probably just the opportunity to, it's good to interact with people of all ages and different backgrounds, different churches. But for me, I think the biggest part that I enjoy the most is interacting with men.
Mm-hmm.
And, we don't have enough men's retreats. Typically, obviously, it's youth and more women than
Mm-hmm.
men. But when we do have men's retreats, it's good. And obviously, some of the adult leaders are men. But just the thing I have enjoyed the most is being able to interact with those men's groups. And, the conversation we had this morning about the concerns that we have for the country, for the church in America. But really, it as I have prayed about it, thought about it, and talked with other people about it, a lot of, I guess you'd call it blame, responsibility, whatever it is, falls back on men. And unfortunately, I think that we have not done as men in the church, in our homes, all that we could have or should have for us, number one, for us to be the men God wants us to be, but also to be the husbands, fathers, and leaders in our church and community that we ought to be. So we, in a lot of ways, we've dropped the ball.
I think I concur. And Lee, I don't want to get into a political discussion tonight because we do check that at the door on Tuesday night, but I think this is germane to what you just said. Along came the Great Society. And until that time, when people had needs, financial needs or whatever, needed benevolence, needed help with a hospital bill or whatever, where'd they go? Church.
Yeah.
That seems to me to be consistent with the book of Acts. But along came this notion that the government is now where they go to, and the church stood by, basically, agree, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you agree or disagree, and to what extent? The church stood by and let this happen and, in effect, abdicated their scriptural duty to minister to the community. Would you agree?
Yeah, sure.
And it seems to me that there's basically, I read somewhere, forget where it was, but there's basically two worldviews. One has faith in government, the other has faith in God, and those that have faith in government becomes their God.
Right.
And but anyway, so looking back, there's probably been some high moments and low moments. Anything funny or embarrassing ever happened that somebody comes there and wets the bed or something? I don't know.
Oh, well, I will tell you this: a group that will not be named from Tallahassee.
Okay, I probably know them.
Yeah, youth group was here, and this kid, this kid could have easily been me when I was his age. So I joke about it, but I'm walking around, and the first time I walk into our cafeteria, just inside the door, I get up early in the morning. I'll go open the door to make sure people can get where they need to be, and sometimes the cooks are already there getting ready, getting the meals ready. Well, this one particular time, I walk in the cafe, everything's off, the lights are off, it's still dark. I walk in, and when you just know somebody's there, and you're not expecting it, and I felt that feeling, and as soon as I looked just to my right, it looked like a person standing there. Well, it was a mannequin.
Oh, my.
A full-size mannequin. Scared the daylights out of me. Well, the next, I guess that night, so people started moving parts of that mannequin, actually. So the next morning, I think it is, I come out and I'm walking around, and actually on this picnic table of the deck that we have, there's this very tall pole, and I look up, and the head of the mannequin is on the pole. So that's probably one of the more memorable.
There was a point to all of that, I presume.
I'm sure there was, yeah.
Oh, but you still don't know.
No, you said what was the most memorable or crazy
well, I mean,
part. So.
Just sticking a head up on a pole. Yeah, I thought maybe there was an object lesson or some analogy or just
no deep spiritual lesson in that. No,
just outright crazy. Okay,
just some kid. Yeah, just some kid wanted to have a good time. Yeah.
Well, Lee, you're in a beautiful spot, and it's been a pleasure. We haven't worked that much together, but on those occasions that we have, Lee, your leadership has been an important part of my ministry because you had the hands, because you could recruit a group of college students, and when there's a disaster, I have the opportunity now and then to speak when I was involved in that, and you know how we do in Jacksonville, we buy things by the gross and get a good deal on them. And so I brought out one of these cases of gloves, and I hold up a glove and say, your cooperative program giving makes it possible for us to buy these in quantities at a really big discount. But this glove doesn't accomplish any work without a hand in it. And so you've had access to some really cheap labor, and I think they have a good time. I mean, we work hard, but we also have fun. And but Lee, it's just great to connect with you again, and I just wish you the very, very best in your ministry, and I hope that you'll hang out with us. And are you in a position to introduce your wife to us tonight?
I can verbally, but she'll kill me if I put her on the camera.
Okay. We'll save that for next time.
Maybe another day.
Yeah, but you're very fortunate to have a wife that supports your ministry, and I just look forward to hearing what things are to come, because God has a plan, and He has a plan that is to prosper us, not to harm us, and a plan to give us a hope and a future. And Lee, it's a pleasure to intersect with you, and I just wish you Godspeed and pray His blessings upon everything that you do.
Hey, I appreciate it, Mark. Good to see you.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.